Good to see everyone. The yellow, the green, the red, the orange, the blue, and mental and social well-being, and not merely the absence of disease or infirmity. So I will say, first of all, what I would just a brief explanation of this is that when you say you are healthy as a person, as an adult or as a child, it means that you are not just healthy physically, you are healthy in terms of your social state, your mental state, your mind is stabilized, your mind is stable. Now, I know quite a number of times you might have heard of persons make this statement: my mental health is very important. Of course, if a person is mentally unstable, it has a way of affecting the person's appearance physically as well as the person's social state. Now, another thing I would like to talk about is let me permit me to diversify into the aspect of self-medication. And this is something that is common in the present day Nigeria, and that's because self-medication involves, someone would say, oh, I dey feel headache, make I just branch pharmacy or chemist shop by the corner there, make I just buy paracetamol. And or the person would say, e get as my body dey do me, oh, e be like say na malaria. E be like say, but you no actually know whether na malaria. Even I myself, I'm also guilty of this thing, because I think the last time I did malaria, typhoid, and PCV test was December 2023, until last month when I had to do malaria, typhoid, and PCV test again, because I was always treating, and I had to do that malaria test, and I discovered that there was no typhoid, but I had malaria of 1 plus. Now, you see that malaria of 1 plus, it can be very dangerous, more than 2 plus, even more than 3 plus, because that 1 plus, there are people that have died of malaria of 1 plus, to the point that I had to even use injections followed by tablets, to cure that malaria of 1 plus, to tell you how serious it can be. Now, if, for example, I did not run that test now, and I even discovered that my PCV was also low. As a young man, my PCV is not supposed to be less than 44% and above, but I discovered that it was just 39. Now, I had to get the necessary medications to be able to boost my PCV and take care of that malaria. Of course, there was no typhoid based on the results. Now, what I'm trying to say, the importance of what I'm trying to say is this. As individuals, yes, I know sometimes these lab tests, they can be quite expensive. Like 5,000 naira, 6,000 naira. It's not that easy. Yeah, but I think it is best to actually just close your eyes and just do the necessary tests. Apart from malaria, typhoid, and these common illnesses that people usually fall sick of, hypertension, diabetes, these are silent killers. And most of the times, people don't even die because of the hypertension or the diabetes itself. It is the complications that result from not managing that hypertension or that diabetes that ends the person's life. Now, it is always advisable medically that for adults, that if you know you have a genetic history, maybe your father, your mother, your grandparents, they had hypertension or diabetes. Now, it is usually advisable that you, as an adult, as you are growing from your youthful age, you try to watch out for those things. You understand? You try to watch your salt intake, you watch your sugary intake, and you try to run the necessary tests. Do well to always check your blood pressure. Do well to always check your fasting blood sugar. Like twice in a week, before you eat in the morning, just brush your mouth, and you can visit a pharmacy or a chemist. Oh, I beg, I want to quickly check my sugar. Max 10 o'clock in the morning, you don't check them. You can do it twice a week, just to be sure that your blood sugar is not going too high. And for people that have hypertension, they are at a high risk of coming down with diabetes. You understand? And people that have diabetes, they are at a high risk of coming down with hypertension. So, as adults, it is usually advisable that we should try as much as possible to check our blood pressure to ensure that it is not too high or it is not too low. You understand? Normal blood pressure for an adult, is 120 over 80. You understand? Highest borderline, when you don't give sign, the person can be having 130 over 90. So, but Low blood pressure is another thing that is also a silent killer. Now, that low blood pressure, I've seen someone that has I think the person died of hypertension, that's low blood pressure of 60, something like 60 over 40. In fact, the person's hands were already very cold, very pale. The person was just pale, cold. So, the thing is that it could be that maybe the body don't they give the person signs before then, but the person just ignore. And you see some persons, their blood pressure would be as high as 200 or 220 over 150. In fact, at that stage, the person is supposed to be hospitalized on admission to be able to manage that person's blood pressure very well. Because you see some persons, now we know in present day Nigeria, the economy is hard, the economy is harsh. And someone might just be walking on the road and maybe the person does not check his blood pressure very well. The person will just slump and just pass on, just like that. It's sad because the kind of government that I know we have in the present day Nigeria, they don't really care about the masses, So, but you as a person, you must tell yourself, yes, to check blood pressure, like in the pharmacy where I work, just 100 naira. Sometimes I even do my best to just encourage them. I just stay for the elderly people. It's just 100 naira. Just check your blood pressure. You understand? It's not difficult. It's not something a big deal. 100 naira, 200 naira you spend to check your blood pressure to be sure that you are okay in a month. It's not a big deal. Even as a youth, from the age of 18 years and above, these are things that you need to be monitoring. Even I myself, I can tell you as a pharmacist, I'm even guilty of it. I rarely check my blood pressure. I rarely check my blood sugar. So, but I know that, okay, yes, those things are not in my family lineage. So, but I still have to be cautious of those things. So, another area I just want to still mention is this aspect of ulcer. For people that are actually managing ulcer, I would say try as much as possible to avoid sugary things. Reduce your sugar intake. Reduce your intake of peppery foods. Especially when it comes to high proteinous food like beans. You try as much as possible to reduce symptoms concerning our health, be it a slight headache. No matter what, just do your best. Try to visit a pharmacy shop or a chemist that is close by. Just try to visit a pharmacy shop and just make your little complaints. You don't have to visit a big hospital to make your little complaints, because that little complaint that you might say, oh, it's just slight headache, it can worsen into something else. So I just want to encourage us to do our best to always be at alert concerning our health, no matter the little signs or symptoms that you might experience at any time. Because one thing I've always discovered is that every person that is walking on the road has one or two issues about his or her health, as little as headache, be it malaria or anything. So I just want to admonish every one of us today that we should try as much as possible to ensure that we take our health seriously, as well as when it comes to hygiene. Whenever you go out to work, your businesses and everything, by the time you return, first thing, it's advisable that you wash your hands first with clean soap and water. You understand? To ensure that you reduce coming down with infections, and these are little things that actually, by the time you hold naira notes, so these are little things that that can easily transmit germs, and before you know, a person is coming down with fever and stuff like that. So I just pray that God will give us the wisdom continuously to keep our health, to be cautious, and be cautious of our health. So thank you very much, and have a wonderful day.
I beg, put your hands together for our own. He is our own, and let us put our hands together for him. Don't be tired of clapping your hands. Put your hands together for him.
We talked about diabetes. In some cases, it's hereditary. Then, if it's not in the family, can it be developed? As in, I don't know, can someone get it by any means? Not something that is not in the family. Can, let's say, whatever the person eats or whatever, junks and all that stuff, can it still develop diabetes?
I would say diabetes, especially diabetes mellitus, that has to do with high blood sugar. When a woman is pregnant, the pregnancy has a way of inducing high blood sugar in the pregnant woman. That's what they call gestational diabetes.
Assist in the house. I've heard before about that malaria. Why is it that 1 plus of malaria is more dangerous than that 2 or 3? Because I've heard before that 1 plus is not dangerous than that 2 or 3. Why is it like that?
Person has 1 plus. Malaria is, it's caused by malaria itself. It's an infectious disease that is carried by female Anopheles mosquito. The female Anopheles mosquito, the mosquito itself is not the organism that causes the malaria. It's just a carrier. That organism is Plasmodium parasite. It's a parasite that enters the blood, and it cannot enter the blood on its own because it's a microorganism. So it's that mosquito, that female Anopheles mosquito, that carries that Plasmodium parasite into the blood when a mosquito beats the person. Now, when a person has 1 plus or 2 plus or 3 plus, most times it is easier to crash the malaria from 3 plus to 2 plus or from 2 plus to 1 plus. But that 1 plus, if the person does not get proper treatment, like I use myself as an example, when I did malaria test and I saw that it was 1 plus, I had treated before with tablets, it refused to go, and I had to use injection and follow up with tablets a second time before I got perfect relief from that 1 plus. And that's because malaria parasite, it tends to leave residues, or how will I put it, when the person has treated, but the person does not get proper treatment. You understand? Maybe the person did not use an injection. It will still be in the blood system, but maybe after 2 weeks, it will start manifesting. Stress will trigger it. You understand? Stress will trigger it, and things like that. So that 1 plus, that's what makes it dangerous. So which is why it must be treated very well, especially using an injection plus tablets to follow up. Yeah.